Well, hello, friends. I am here with one of my favorite people, Lisa Bergren, and we are talking about such a fun topic today. Before we talk about the book, because I know we've had you on talking about your wonderful fiction, and this is fiction too, but in a different way. But Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm an author living in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I have three grown children. Two of them are married, and one that is a senior in high school. And I hang out here in our brand new home that we built last year and help my
Yay!
husband with his crazy business. He makes ducks out of old ranch fence posts.
So fun.
And we love to travel, and we're hoping this year we get to travel again to Italy. So we're
Mm,
planning that trip this summer.
I have not been to Italy. I was just in Spain in August. So
Awesome.
I need to go to Italy next. All right. So
Yes,
we
you
are
do.
talking about a super fun book. And my grandma name is Nana.
Is
So,
it? That's so
yes.
great.
So Nana the Great comes to visit. It is so adorable. I love it so much. Um, I adore this book, and I have to show you guys. The illustrations are so fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the story behind Nana the Great, because I know it's a pretty special story.
Yeah, and David Hahn, the illustrator, hit
Oh,
it
oh
out of the
my
park.
goodness.
He just did
It's
perfect on it.
yes.
Exactly what I wanted. Um, it started because for years I've told my mom I'm going to write a book about her, and I always called her Naughty Nana. And
I love it.
I had actually proposed the title being Naughty Nana or Bad Nana to the publisher, and they said no, that sounds like a porn star, so we can't do that. So she
Don't
ended
Google
up
that,
being
friends. Do not
Nana.
Google that.
And so she ended up being Nana the Great. And I think there's such a unique relationship between grandmothers and
Mhm.
grandchildren, and such a unique opportunity. I can't wait till I get to be a grandmother myself sometime soon. I hope that good news comes down the pike. But I
No
hope to
pressure,
be as
children. No pressure at all.
yeah, I hope to be as great as my mom was with my
Mm.
children and my nieces, and as great as my own grandmother was with me. I mean, my grandmother was just always my cheerleader. She thought, "Oh, Lisa, darling, you can do anything." You know, she
Mhm,
was that
mhm.
person in the corner that just pushed me and inspired me and encouraged me all along the way. So that's the background of Nana the Great.
I love that so much. Okay, so many ways I'm gonna go. We're gonna go this way first because right before we got on, I get up super early. So I get up like at 4, and then by this time I'm like kind of tired. Well, I gave myself a window to like lay down for 30 minutes, but my house cleaner who comes once a week was cleaning my bathroom. And I'm like, I just want to lay down. So I went into my grandma's room. My grandma is still alive. She's 92. And then I went and she's watching cowboy movies. And I go in there and sit with her, but I'm like, I'm just going to snuggle on your bed and take a nap.
I
And so
love
I
it.
just did for like 20 minutes. And it was just like
Oh.
that peaceful thing of, I don't know, just being with your grandma, being around
Yes.
your grandma. And she kept forgetting I was there to take a nap. And she kept saying, how's your mom doing? And I'm it's okay. But it was it's so funny. I'm like, "Oh, I actually just took a nap in my grandma's room right before I'm getting on with Lisa."
I love that.
Yeah, so fun. Okay, so you mentioned naughty, which I think, you know, I love just picking up a book, not reading the back cover, just like, "Okay, what's this gonna be about?" And I laughed out loud because here's the first page. I'm gonna read it out loud to all of you. It says, "I love my Nana, and I love when she comes to visit, even though Mama thinks she's kind of naughty." And I just like I had no expectations when I opened the cover, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be adorable, and it is, and it goes through all the ways she makes a mess, and she feeds them cookies. But I will show you my favorite page, and
Yep.
Lisa, I brought a prop. So you mentioned cheerleader, Nana being
Yeah.
a cheerleader. Do you want to read? Do you have the book? Can you read that page
I
out
can. Let me
loud
get
to us?
there. If I can get there in time. Okay. Nana helps me make ginormous hopscotch paths down our block using whole boxes of chalk. Then she breaks out her old pom poms and cheers us along the way. She doesn't mind when other adults stare. I think I even amused Mr. Cornelius, she whispers after we pass him. He's kind of handsome when he smiles.
So Cute. I love this, Nana, so much. Okay, so Lisa, this is for you. I've never shown this before. All right, so I don't have my pom poms anymore, but this is my cheerleading uniform. So
Aw,
when I was a cheerleader at Weed High, I talk about it in all my talks. So this is the Nana cheering with her cheerleading uniform.
that's awesome. I love
Oh,
I love the fort spread toward
yes.
the front, and I can show it, and you can read it if you
Yes,
want.
that sounds great. Okay, I got to get there. Okay.
Toward the front.
Yep. So it says, Nana, look at this huge. Oh, Nana, look at this huge mess you made. Mama says, you're as naughty as the kids. Or I'm a fort building genius. Nana the Great replies, winking at me. Definitely a genius, I say. Mama just sighs and laughs as she heads to the kitchen. It
And
is,
I love the little brother.
yes.
He's an awesome in all those spreads.
It is so fun to see what he's up to because there's this whole conversation going on between the little girl and Nana, and he's like following along.
Yes.
And like the tomato's just
Yes.
squirting from his mouth, and he's so sweet. Which my little brother is 4 years younger than me, so it almost fits with the ages of these kids. So it's
Yes.
so fun. Okay, so was there something that surprised you when you were going through and writing about Nana?
I think what surprised me was all thinking about all the ways that grandmothers inspire and encourage us. Like in the book,
Mm,
you know, she's playing a game with her and she's not letting the child win, and she's like,
yeah.
"Hey, darling, you gotta beat me fair and square." So I just love how spunky she is and inspirational,
Hmm.
but she's also cheering her on all along the way. Like the parents are going, she shouldn't really climb to the top of that jungle gym. That's dangerous. And
Yeah.
Nana's there going, hey, let her go. How does she find out how much she can do if she doesn't get to the top? So she's I think that's what's unique about grandparents is that they can go into areas that parents can't.
Hmm.
And they can do a little spoiling that parents usually can't, you know, to keep things in line. But that's
Yep.
just it's just kind of the fun part.
I'm trying to find the page with the clothes because, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
with by the time you get to be a nana, you just realize like what's important and what's not important. So
Yes.
the page with
Yes.
the clothes reminded me of this. Where is it? I think it's
Yep.
before the cheerleading. Oh yeah. So it says instead of laying out my clothes each morning, Nana lets me make my own choice. I enjoy seeing your sense of style emerge, she says. You have such flair. And I love that.
Yeah.
And my little granddaughter, Chloe May, who is 8 years old, is this little girl. Like, she will dress like this all the time. And she comes over and she has black and white stripes with purple star. I mean, she's just, and
Yeah.
I just love it. And like her parents are like, I know. Like, it's
I just
just like,
remember how
yeah.
kids like they'd say, "Well, plaid and plaid doesn't that match?" And it's like, "No, that's a nightmare." But
As
yeah,
anything parents
grandparents can
like,
go, "Yeah, go for it. Who
exactly. Go
cares?"
for it, and we realize, like, it's not the big issue, like, because we had to,
Yeah,
we had to live through the teen years, like, so we see these kids and
yeah,
we're like, "This is nothing." And I remember
yep,
just fighting, especially with Leslie. She was so strong-willed, and she'd wanna wear these things, and I'd, like, want her to look a certain way, and it was like these hills I chose to die on, and now I'm like, "It's so not a big deal." And then when you see your grandkids, you not only think it's not a big deal, you think it's adorable and take a whole bunch of pictures
yeah,
and post it on Facebook, so
yeah.
it's so
It was
fun.
fun. I had pitched an article for a parenting online parenting magazine, and I had asked for ideas of how to connect with your grandchild. And a number
Mm,
of people said, you know what? The thing is with grandparents is that we have time and energy, so
mhm.
we don't care if the kids make a mess, and we don't care if we have to go the extra mile. So we let them do those things, and that's a unique space and opportunity for grandparents to provide for a child.
Yeah, and I
Because,
think we know how fast they grow up too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I was talking with Leslie and little JJ's 8 months old, her little baby. I'm like, he's almost done being a baby. And she's like this exhausted mom. And
right,
she's like, I'm just ready for him to sleep through the night, the next step. And we're like,
right.
treasure that little, like this little guy you have in the book. Look at this picture. This
You
is so
bet.
cute. Like treasure those little moments because they grow so quickly.
Yep.
I love it. Okay, so we have a question here. Let me pull it up real quick. My computer all of a sudden not let me add this. Okay, so it says, Megan says, As a Mimi, I'm so enjoying your chat. This book sounds delightful, Lisa. So
Thank
thank you.
you.
And it is,
Yeah.
it's a delightful.
And I think that, grandmothers that go by a different handle like Mimi or Nona or Grandma can just replace that name Nana in the book
Yeah.
as they're reading it.
Yeah. And I chose Nana. So, Lisa, this is something to think about when you're choosing your grandma name because they say it first. Like it's, you know, Mama,
Ah,
Dada, Nana. And so the other
yeah.
grandma was Grandma, and I was with Clayton. He was our oldest grandchild. I was Nana, and he was like 8 months old, so able to say Nana. And she's like, "You planned that?" And I'm like, "Yes,
School.
I did."
I did
don't
my
make it
homework.
too, don't make it too complicated. I mean, sometimes
Okay.
they actually want a banana, but they're saying Nana, but it's okay. You could deal. Bananas are a good thing.
You
So
take it any which way.
exactly. So what number of children's book is this of yours? And I
I
remember when
think
you
it's
first
probably
like wrote this number one.
number 17 or 18. Number one
Wow.
was God Gave Us You.
Yes, I remember when you were writing that and we were talking about it and when that released and everything. So
I was
yeah,
just with at an author retreat where we just rented a place for a couple weeks and did nothing but write and walk on the beach. And next year you should come with us, Trisha.
I know.
But I was with a young writer, and she was so sweet. She told me the cutest story. She said, I was one of five babies. She was a quintuplet, and the OB told her parents that they didn't hear any heartbeat
Mm,
and had recommended a DNC. And she felt so strongly that she was supposed to wait. She said, I can't do it yet. Just give me a couple weeks. And she came back 2 weeks later, and there was sweet April's little heartbeat. She was still
wow.
hanging in there. So she was one of five, and she was only one to survive, but she made it to full term. And she told me that her dad, she was raised on God Gave Us You. So
Oh my
it's so
goodness.
weird, so weird to be talking to, young women or men who had my children's book as a little one. It's a pretty
That is
crazy
so
legacy.
cool. I love it. Okay, so here's the other thing I had to show you. So I'm like, I know I have some Lisa's books here, but I also take them to my grandkids and they want to take it home. And
Sure.
so I have a keeper shelf like this big. And I'm like, there's none here. Then I remembered my girls have a keeper shelf in their closet.
Oh,
And theirs is like 3 times as much. And theirs is like the books are in backwards, they're in piles, like it's a mess. So
yeah.
I didn't have enough time to dig through, but I did find two of them. And so on their
Yay!
keeper shelf I found and I can also
Yay!
dig through
Oh,
there and
that's so
find more of them.
sweet.
Yeah, but I'm like, where did those books go? Well, it's in their keeper shelf
I
of the
love
ones they
that.
wanted to do. So this was God gave us Easter and God gave us angels. There's all kinds, and they all have these awesome um, illustrations. And it's a, yeah,
Yeah,
this is a different illustrator, but this is so fun and colorful and
it is.
lively, and
And I
I
love
love
how
it.
she wears such vibrant colors. She's just awesome.
Did you picture like when you wrote your illustration notes for the book? Did you picture Nana kind of being this kind of wild Nana?
Yeah. Like,
Like look at this.
how do you say it? High couture? How do you say that word? It's one of those
Yeah,
words I read but never say.
I
But
think you
she,
said it right. Yeah,
she's just like, the cat glasses or the big round glasses and big jewelry. That's what I had outlined
yeah.
and sent him a couple
Look at her
pictures.
shoes here. Like they're so cute. I'm like I would totally wear that outfit.
And I like how she's painting her granddaughter's toes all different colors,
Oh, I
which
love
Mama
it.
thinks is a little crazy.
Yeah, Mama.
But
Well, you know what? Mom, I think. Well, there's this one page. It cracks me up. The look on Mom's face is like, "Oh, please, mother!" Like you could just see it. But I think Mama. I don't know. I think it helps moms also when they see grand or nanas, you know, being crazy to realize like it's okay to
right.
relax. It's okay.
When you're a young mom, you're just kind of like trying to hold it together, keep the ship
Hmm.
together. I remember those days. So
Yeah.
I remember how you have to kind of keep things in line, but
Yeah.
grandmothers help you remember you don't have to keep everything in line all the time.
Yes. I'm still trying to find that page because the look on the mom's face was priceless. And she had this look on her face that, oh, what was it? It was like a close up of mom. Anyway, it's somewhere in here
Oh,
that was just,
is it letting her try on all her makeup?
maybe that was it.
Nana lets me try on all her makeup and tells me I look
Oh yeah,
glorious.
yeah. So the
I'm not sure
mom.
what glorious means, but I'm pretty sure this is it.
Yeah, and that's the
That's
little girl, and
the, and
the
then there's
mom's like,
mom.
like,
Mom's like,
hmm.
really?
I know. I remember getting my granddaughter like fake makeup when she was like 4, and they're like, "Mom," I'm like, "I know, it's just for play. It's just for fun." Okay, so I have to know: are there going to be more Nana books?
Yes, we just finished Nana the
What?
Great Goes Camping.
Oh my goodness! I was hoping you were going to say that. Okay, so
Yes.
when can we anticipate that?
That will be next year. So we have just the initial sketches in. And
Hmm.
as you know, publishing's taking a little longer these days
Yeah.
because of paper shortages. So hopefully next April.
Oh, good. And this would be perfect for Mother's Day or
Hmm.
birthdays. I mean, it would be so precious to have your little grandchild write a little note to their nana and give it to them. So
I think it'd be really cute to have a copy on your grandma shelf, library shelf, and then send a copy to your grandchild and then read it aloud together and talk
that's a
about your
good
next visit.
idea. Okay.
So if you send,
Ooh.
for your listeners, if you send a copy to your grandchild and you want me to send you an autographed book plate, just go ahead and email me at lisa@bergrencreativegroup.com, and we can probably put that email in the your notes,
Yeah,
right?
we could, afterwards we'll go put it in there. Yeah, that would be so sweet. And one thing, I'm book nana because my
Yeah,
daughter lives in Europe, and
yeah,
shipping stuff is a ton of money. But through bookdepository.com, they have
yeah.
free worldwide shipping, and so I can ship books for the same price I'd order anyplace else. I can ship them to Amelia, and so she will show me all the books that she wants. So she would turn around. So on the back of you here, you have some of the other books. She would show me like she wants these books. So that is a
She's
great
working
idea.
ya.
She will tell me which one she wants,
I
and
love it.
so that's a great idea. I can send it there, and then we can read, and I could turn the pages. But then she'll want me to
When are
come
you
visit.
when are you going to go visit again?
I don't know. No immediate plans. So, yeah.
Are things in Ukraine making it a little scarier or rougher to figure
Yeah, they're
out?
they're 5 hours away, and their
Yeah.
church is taking in lots of refugees. So Leslie has
Well,
been,
and her family is too, right? They're gonna try
yeah,
in
yep.
their little
They
little
bought a
tiny
little bed
apartment.
and the tiny apartment. But
God bless them.
yeah, last time I heard her pastor asked if she wanted to help start because she does moms groups. Oh, they could read Nana to the Great and teach him English. um, but she does mom groups, and he asked if she could start one for the Ukrainian because they have hundreds of these
Wow.
Ukrainian moms there with their kids
Wow.
that their church is helping to house and take care of and feed. And so we were talking through the logistics, and I said, you know what? And I think this is such a mom topic. Like, just get them together. Like, she's like, I don't speak Ukrainian. I mean, some might speak English, and that's a common
Right.
language. But I said, you know what? If you provide the place for them where they could feel safe and have some snacks and be able to connect with each other, and the kids can play, I
Mhm.
mean, that will be a perfect thing. And so they were going to look into that. So, which it
Wow.
just shows like moms are moms everywhere,
You bet.
whether they're in the Ukraine, in the Czech Republic, here, just they just want that safe place for them and their kids. And so,
You bet.
yeah, it's
Praying for
pretty
that
cool.
for all those moms.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how different is it writing kids' books? I know it's very different. So the process of writing a kids' book compared to like one of your very detailed historical novels that just totally take hundreds and hundreds of pages to tell a story.
Well, you know, because you have your own kids' book out, but
Yep.
it's finding the hook is the hardest
Mhm.
part, and then once you find the hook, then it's pretty fast. But what's different is that every word has to count, and
Mhm.
you've read children's books that are just too long to keep the attention span of the intended audience, so you have to be really careful about that. Read it aloud again and again and again. Every draft I'm reading aloud to make sure it sounds right, it's flowing right. So I think that's different because when you're reading a novel, I know Angie Hunt reads her whole novel out loud or has Dragon Speak read it all
I
out loud.
couldn't. Yeah, I
Which,
do when I'm writing.
yeah,
But I'll just do it like a chapter at a time. I
yeah.
don't sit there and read the whole thing at once. Yeah.
So, and I think that's a great discipline. But I think with novels we can hear it close enough that we
Mhm.
don't have to do that, but with kids' books, it's way more important. And meet a lot of people who would love to write a children's book, and I hope they can do that someday because it's so fun to see words come to life, especially when an illustrator captures your vision and really brings it to fruition so beautifully. Um, but you really need that hook, for
Yeah.
a children's book to be successful for a publisher these days because it's so expensive for them to print. They have to sell like 35,000 copies. So you really need something unique to grab a publisher's attention.
Absolutely. And I think, was it the naughty? Was that the part that was the hook for
Well,
yours?
I actually sent the proposal in as Bad Nana.
Oh, okay.
And so when they called and said that we want Bad Nana, I'm like, really? I can't believe
That is so cool.
it.
Yeah, and I think, but her personality really is the hook, though. I mean, just
Yeah,
that vibrant, fun. I mean, who would not want to hang out with that Nana? I
I
want to go
know.
hang out with that Nana. So,
And so
but
she's at the end, just to make sure your listeners understand that she's
oh yeah.
bad and naughty. The whole thought at the end, the little girl says, "When Nana gets ready to leave, I start to feel sad. You really love
Mhm.
your Nana, don't you?" Mama asks. "Yeah," I say. "I know you think she's naughty sometimes." And Mama says, "I actually think she's naughty in the best sort of way. That's why
Mhm.
God gave us grandparents. Somehow they know exactly how much spoiling we need."
Yeah, I'm
So
glad you brought that up. Yeah.
I don't want people to get the wrong idea about her.
It's the spoiling. She's not really being naughty. Nana
Right.
is not robbing banks and all
She
that.
pushes boundaries out a little bit. That's how she's naughty.
I love it. Oh, look at, she left a little bracelet, her little necklace.
Yes,
I
and
just
that's an
love
element throughout the
it.
whole book.
The necklace is
Like,
on every page.
yeah, I think on most spreads. So David, that's one of the great things about David. He just brings up those little
It's
elements
on the
that's so fun.
bedpost.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a fun thing because I probably read this like 3 or 4 times as we're thinking about through what we're gonna talk about, and then here I am looking at it again, and there's that element, and then next time I'm gonna go through, you're gonna see something else, and you're gonna see something else, and I think it's so fun when you could find those things that just that's why kids books and the illustrations just capture our attention, and they
Right.
just we could just keep seeing things, and the kids will see. I guarantee, when my
Yeah.
grandkids come over and we start reading through, they're going to see things that I didn't see. So
That's one of the things that an editor taught me early on was like, don't write it all out. Put it in the illustration notes and let the illustration speak. And I'm like, oh,
hmm
that's beautiful.
yeah, and it really is. The illustrator is telling their own story. I mean, they're taking your story, but then they almost
Yeah.
take it to the next level as they're throwing in those hidden pictures or those personality things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do think, "Oh, I'm gonna write children's books because it's easier." And as you're
Yes.
already saying, the concise words, the
Mhm.
flow, the rhyming. I mean, if you
Yeah.
have rhyme, which that's even harder, it just makes it so much more difficult. And then the cost of printing. So it's much easier. I've had more success getting novels published than children's books because the cost is so expensive.
Right. Right. You really have to win a publishing committee over with your idea.
Yeah.
How has your Grumble book done? What's the full title of
I
that?
need to look the Grumbles. The
The
Grumbles.
Grumbles.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have pulled the book, or I don't think I have it around here.
It's
No,
so cute. I've only
it
seen the
is
cover. I need to
adorable.
get into it.
I need to just send you one. I'll just have to
Yeah.
get your address and do that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super fun. And Amy Parker and I have some more ideas that we're shopping around there. So
She's a great co-writer.
she is awesome. She was my editor years and
Oh,
years
okay.
ago, and we've just stayed
So
friends. And
what made you decide to write the Grumbles?
I love how you're reversing this interview, Lisa.
It's way more comfy talking about you.
I know. Okay, so I was being interviewed on her podcast. She does a podcast with Mike Naraki, who's the voice of Larry the Cucumber. It's the
Okay.
Bible for kids. And in fact, I'm going to email Amy about having you on her podcast. Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
so I was on their podcast. I went to Franklin. It's in Franklin, Tennessee, and I was interviewed, and I was talking about the books, and when the Grumbles come to visit, and your house is the Grumbles, and sometimes you need Grandma Grateful to come because my grandma really was, when we were going through the Grumble free year and struggling with our grumbling. My grandma's in there singing praise music, and she's
Oh,
always like so thankful. I will hear her 3 o'clock in the morning praying for the members of her family. Like, and I'm like, I love you. Go to sleep, Grandma. But she's just a grateful, thankful person. And when I
I
said
love
that,
that.
Amy, we got off the interview. Amy and I went to lunch, and she's like, "That's a children's book. The Grumbles and Grandma Grateful comes to visit." And so I'm driving home from Franklin, Tennessee to Little Rock, and I get these texts from Amy with lines from the book. So really,
That's fabulous.
yeah. So if we, I'm sure it's in my phone, that text thing, and then I would write something back, and then she would write something back. So by the time it's like a 5.5 hour drive from Nashville area to Little Rock. Almost the whole book was written in our text messages going back and forth. So
That's beautiful.
yeah,
I love it.
if you have an idea and just want to text me about it, Lisa, I could.
Okay.
You never know where we'll go from there.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, but it is fun having those creative people to bounce your ideas off and to
Yeah.
talk through. And when you first wrote God Gave Us You, did you imagine that this would be like this whole separate journey that you were going down?
No, that whole God gave us you story is so unique in that I was awakened. I've told your listeners before, awakened in the middle of the night. I think I've told your listeners
Just
before.
tell us the story again.
Okay, so I had been thinking about a children's book. My girls were young at that point. They were probably 3 and 6, and I love polar bears, so I had thought it'd be
Mhm,
fun to write a polar bear story. And at that time, there were no I love you books that had a God element to it. So
mhm,
it was in my head, but I didn't ever do anything about it. And then one night, in the middle of the night, God just tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Here's this idea." And middle of the night thoughts, you go, if it's
mhm.
really good, I'm going to remember it in the morning. So I turned over, and I'm trying to get back to sleep. And all I can describe it is he just kept tapping and tapping. And I wish I
Mm.
could tell you that I was really gracious and got out and said, "Thank you, Lord." But I'm like throwing off the covers and going, "Okay, God, I'm going to go write this down." So I went in my office and wrote it down and sat back and went, that's interesting. Went to bed, went to sleep, got up in the morning, read it again, cried, and went, whoa. Read it to
Mm.
Olivia, cried it even more, and then sent it to pub committee at Waterbrook, and they said they'd never done a kids book before, and they did it. And long story short is that book and that series has sold millions and millions of
Yeah,
copies. It's just
it's just
ridiculous.
that was worth getting up and throwing off those covers.
That's right. Well, can you imagine the blessings I would have
Yeah.
missed had I ignored him? Because
Mhm.
and how often do we miss God's nudge, and because we just are too stubborn and or too busy. And I can tell you that book put hamburger on our table when we had nothing else.
Yeah,
It bought us a couch when we had nothing but dilapidated old furniture. I mean, it has provided for us over the years at critical junctures, and it just has God's fingerprints all over it. I'm so grateful.
absolutely. Yeah, and then all the families. I mean, you think of all those mamas and daddies and aunties and
Yeah,
whoever just with their kids and reading
yeah.
the stories to them. And I know in the Czech Republic, my little granddaughter has that book
Super
halfway around
special.
the
I
world,
love it. I
So
just
it's
love
just
it.
I just love how God does that. And that's just an
Hmm.
encouragement to whoever's listening. Like if you feel those God nudges, I think sometimes we think this is not the right time or I want to do it or it's never going to work out. Just follow it. Just
Right,
follow. Like
right.
Amy with me saying, "Oh, that's a book," and then texting me as I'm trying to drive. I'm like, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not looking at my phone. My daughter would read me
Right.
the messages.
Or you could
Uh,
you could have said, Amy, I'm not a children's book writer. I have all this other stuff going, and
yeah.
you would have missed out on that blessing of seeing your book in full four color. It's so
I
fun.
know. I love it. And my illustrator's from Spain. So
Did you go
yeah.
visit that
No,
illustrator when
I
you
would
were
love
there?
to. No, we just ended up being there because our flight was canceled going from the Czech Republic to the United States,
That's
and they
right.
had
I forgot
to
about that.
divert us through Spain. I'm like, man, I have to stay the night in Madrid, and we got there like at 3 in the afternoon, and the next flight was like 10 the next morning. I'm like, we're just gonna have to go to explore Madrid.
You and
So
John made hay. I remember those pictures.
I love it. And I did some online tours, which through Hago, I
Ooh,
love doing online tours. And so the tour guide, I messaged him and he's like, "Come down, I'll meet you." And so we got our
that's so
private
cool.
tour with a friend. So
Amazing.
fun. Yes, so you could write a children's book set in Italy when you go to Italy.
Yes, I should.
Nana the Great
Goes to
smashes
Italy.
smashes grapes in Italy.
That'll be fun.
That would be awesome. You have to try it.
You gave me another idea and
I
another
know.
reason to write off my trip to Italy this summer.
Exactly. Yes. Couldn't you see though,
Yes,
Nana the Great smashing grapes?
yes,
Like that would be awesome.
that
Okay.
would be awesome.
Well, Lisa, where can people go to go get information about you and the books and of course Nana the Great?
Yes, you can go to my website, lisabergren.com. And now that I'm saying that, I think I don't have a post up yet for Man of the Great, but I got to do that today. I'll do it today.
Yes.
Um, you can find the books online everywhere. If you go to penguinrandomhouse.com and put in Nana the Great, they'll show you all the buy links. There's
Oh, good.
also on godgaveusyou books.com all kinds of free activities for all of my books, and one is a downloadable kit for Nana the Great.
Oh, good.
It's free, and even if you don't buy the book, you can go in there and print
Is it
off
like
whatever you want.
color sheets or that
Coloring
sort of?
sheets
Oh
and
my goodness.
puzzles and activities. I think kids will really enjoy.
Okay, so Sundays, Clayton and Chloe May come over, so I'm going to print that up. Chloe May is going to be all over that. It's exactly down her line. So
Awesome.
super fun. All right. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on.